how you doing? And welcome to another episode of Expressed Opinion. I am your girl, Lynn Roberts.
I'm that girl, DC.
And
Big C.
Sitting in for Trey Booski today, it is the Big Cease.
Who is what they call him?
They call him Big Cease, yeah. All right, everybody, don't forget, throughout the program, feel free to click, like, and share, and don't forget to leave your comments at the bottom. We really appreciate the comments, we really appreciate the views, the shares, and the subscriptions. So go ahead and click subscribe and click subscribe. That's what I said.
Oh, and share it.
And share it. And like it. Hell, you will love it. All right. So this past weekend was a very, very, let's just say, history-making weekend. They had a major milestone pass. Juneteenth was declared a federal holiday. President Biden declared it a federal holiday on Thursday. So people that had federal jobs were able to be off on Friday. Well, some people were. We weren't, but some people were.
I think it was just the timing.
I don't care.
It was so close to the actual date, they probably just didn't have time.
My thing was, hey, they saw the news, it was on 6 o'clock news, you could have did a mass email, hey, y'all off tomorrow.
What in the post office?
Huh?
Was it the post work this weekend?
Oh, did they?
Yeah, because I think it was too close to the holiday once it was declared.
All right, I'm just waiting to get that new holiday update sheet with that day on there. Anywho, but you know, by it being declared a holiday, a lot of people were happy and rejoicing in it, but then there were a lot of people who were upset about it. And my question is, why are you mad at this being a national holiday? And actually, this is the first holiday that they've had in over 40 years.
Well, no, MLK was done
in 1983. Yes.
I got was it declared a national holiday?
Yes, it was. It was. Let me see. Hold on, I got my notes right here. 1983. Yep. 40 years. Got it right there. Had to put specs on. Y'all know I can't see. Anywho, but yeah. And so my thing is, I understand that we still have a long way to go, but why are we so upset because this became a holiday? Because from what I was understanding, from what some people think, is that this just happened overnight.
No, and you know what else? And I think some people are saying that, it applies to people in Galveston. It doesn't apply to slaves everywhere in the South. Please understand.
And we understand that the slaves that were in Texas didn't get notified until 2 years later. We understand that, but still, everybody wasn't free.
But exactly, and when you say free, we're gonna use this right here just as a general. But when you say free, I mean no one's free until everybody's free. Exactly. But not only that, in 1863, even though it was 2 years prior, they still had a lot of that slavery mentality really going on. So technically, it was signed and said it was built, but it was still carrying on the laws and regulations, just like slavery, So.
What do you mean?
I'm listening.
I mean, you got to feel free to jump in. You got to your opinion. Yes, you feel. You got to jump in wherever.
My opinion on it is, I think it should be something you should be rejoicing about, and the reason being, everything we ask for is steeped in symbolism. When we turned around and asked for them to remove the rebel flag, remove the statues and things like that, those are symbols. Those symbols have a lot behind them. They invoke feelings, they have a lot of history, they have a lot of teachings. With Juneteenth being brought up, now you have something where you're bringing to the forefront that whole conversation of slavery. Why did it happen? How did it happen? My own son called me and was like, "Hey, Dad, we're celebrating Juneteenth." And I'm going, "Really?" Because for me, that's not a holiday. And for him, it is. So this new conversation is coming up for this generation that's coming in. So even though they have this thing that I hear coming up where they're trying to stop schools from teaching Black history,
critical race theory. critical race
theory,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to come up. It's going to be forced to come up.
Yeah.
With Juneteenth coming in, the kids are going to know, why are we celebrating this?
Exactly.
What happened during that time?
And then it's going to be, let me tell you a story about a boy named Jed. I'm just
Okay.
so yeah.
And which is real crazy, so because as soon as Juneteenth became a holiday, here come the governors trying to enact these laws for a critical race theory to be a curriculum.
Well, actually, they were doing that before it became a holiday. They were doing that like weeks before. But it's like an oxymoron. You're going to make this a national holiday, but you're going to ban teaching about all of this in schools. Well, so what sense does that make? Well, and then not only that, our governor here, with his very intelligent self, he decided that state employees would not get paid for Juneteenth. So he signed a bill that state employees can't get paid.
Well,
isn't that wonderful?
The little of I know about federal law is that Trump state.
And there you go.
And that's not going to
So that he was just getting right and practicing,
right.
You were just practicing
But y'all found out how smart he was when the pain didn't get.
Yeah.
If you're saying critical race theory, you might as well stop all European history then.
Exactly.
Let's make it equal.
Okay.
Well, first of all, you can explain how the United States exists without explaining slavery. That's retarded.
Right. It's something the country needs to. I think the faster the country owns slavery, the quicker we get over it. It's like a dysfunctional family. You can't hide the fact that uncle, such and such is a drunk. Just go ahead and let it out.
Exactly. You may as well go ahead and deal with it.
Deal with it, right?
Well, a lot of people are really starting to show their face.
Mm-hmm.
So with the I don't know, Trump. With him in office, a lot of people felt liberated to really say how they feel.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a lot of people that was really like, throwing a rock behind the hand. I really like on the forefront now, and even down to some people on social media who are friends.
Mm-hmm.
You can have a conversation. They chime in. You be like, oh wow, tell us how you really feel. So these people were already feeling this way, and I think with our past president, everything that was going on, they have really became blunt and. Hey, this is what it is. This is how I really feel. I can handle it when you know what you're facing.
Mm-hmm.
But throwing the rock behind the hand, that's something totally different. Even though it's still going on.
I definitely don't shame people for that.
Right.
Speak your mind, let it out, let everybody know who you are and where you are, and
people show you who they are.
And when we have a thing of going around and trying to stop people from doing that, don't do that. Let them come out and be out and open with it. It's actually protecting yourself.
Let them be ignorant. Okay. Basically, that's what you're saying. Let them be.
Let them be who you are.
Okay.
Come on out.
Shoot, and while you're saying that, because I remember a few years ago, I was going back and forth with a former classmate on Facebook. We were talking about the Black Wall Street massacre. And she was trying to tell me, talking about evidently, because I'm like, apparently this is something, and I told her, I said, this is something we didn't learn in school, because we were classmates, I was there. We didn't learn this in school, so I told her, because she got upset, because I was running off all of these different things that have happened to black people in modern times.
Exactly.
And she was like, when did that happen? So I said, Google it. So I told her, I said, Black Wall Street, 1921, Google it.
Well, you know what's crazy? They didn't even teach that in Oklahoma.
Exactly.
People from there knew nothing about it. They went other places to be told about what happened in their hometown. Then they had to go back to find out this is something that actually happened.
And that's because that's the one story that got the most press and the most fame.
There are plenty of them.
You're right. Black Wall Street happened in a myriad of places.
Exactly. And not only that, back in Oklahoma now, I was just looking at a documentary. They're finding the mass graves now.
Yeah.
They're excavating in a graveyard. They're excavating the graveyard and finding mass graves all over the place. out there.
Yeah, I saw the same we must have was looking at it. I don't know. But
Mhm.
I saw the same documentary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, hands up. I mean, to the mayor out there, because it's like
She's the one pushing.
No, it's a he.
Oh.
The mayor. The
The
guy.
Okay, yeah.
I forgot what his name was, but he is the one that pushed for them to do that.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
So
bring those bodies up.
So he was like, go ahead, do what y'all gotta do so that we can address this.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, oh, okay, cool.
Howard University did one for Wall Street.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. I don't know the full particulars on it, but one of my mentors, Dr. Carr,
Mm-hmm.
was one of the guys who was a part of that whole project
Mm-hmm.
of getting those bodies moved and I believe sent back to Africa
Oh,
to be
wow.
buried.
Wow.
Yeah. So a lot of the atrocities you won't hear about them when they built Wall Street.
Mm-hmm.
Buried the bones of those people who built it right there.
Central
inside the
Park.
buildings.
Central
Yep,
Park
Central
was
Building
built
Code.
over a whole black neighborhood. That used to be a black neighborhood. Central Park. All of Central Park
Funny
was
you
a
said, so was Arlington Cemetery. Where all
Wow.
the military are buried.
Yeah.
Was a black neighborhood.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then a lot of people don't even know about the Devil's Punch Bowl.
Oh my goodness.
Have you heard about the Devil's Punch Bowl? Yes.
Oh wow.
Natchez, Mississippi.
Yep. They're like, don't eat the peaches out there.
Oh gosh, I mean it's crazy.
A lot of bodies down there.
And so let me put my spectacles on because I'm gonna give y'all a little something about actually where my notes at the Devil's Punch Bowl. Okay, so the Devil's Punch Bowl is in Natchez, Mississippi, and it has a time span of in the time span of 1 year, over 20,000 black people were killed in this concentration camp, and they called it the Devil's Punch Bowl. And they didn't even let the people like bury them. They just left them there. 20,000 people. That's crazy.
Yep.
But
that they pushed into this little tiny space.
They made what do you call it? An encampment.
A
concentration camp. They made it a concentration camp, and then they turn around and killed 20,000 people. 20,000 black
The
folks.
only concentration camp stories you're gonna hear is Japanese.
Yeah, but you don't.
The Holocaust. But
yeah.
Oh.
But you don't. Yeah. That's yeah.
Well, you know what? To be honest, in the South Field, everybody, the racism that we experience is not compared to or to diminish other racism here in the United States. The Holocaust didn't happen on our grounds. I don't diminish that. They have to own that.
Mm-hmm.
But when you come here and you want to give so much to other nationalities, and then you want to ignore what we've been through, like, oh well, that's me. I've been talking about that so long, so y'all don't need your reparation. But the newer nationalities and races, they coming in there demanding what they want, and they are like really pushing to get this stuff done.
Look how quick they passed the hate crime against the Asians.
That's what I'm saying.
In record time.
But
Man, FloJo couldn't run it quicker than that.
we're
That
paying for things we had nothing to do with.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we paying for the Holocaust?
Exactly.
But we're not gonna answer to the fact that we had slavery? No.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't do that.
Oh, why we can get over that.
Right.
You can get over that. Move on.
Move on. But I can say that maybe we can try to use the whole idea of them passing that Asian bill as a stepping stone.
Well, I look at them passing, making Juneteenth a national holiday, a stepping stone.
Oh, it's a huge one.
In the right direction.
Right.
You have some people upset, us.
Mm-hmm.
When I say some people, I'm talking about us, that are upset that this has become a federal holiday.
Well, I think that's what their, and I'm gonna guess, their thought process is, we're being placated with this.
Yes.
It's not any real substantive movement.
Mm-hmm.
They're just giving you this to say, be quiet and pacify us.
Yeah.
When they don't realize it actually is.
It's making, because it's making people talk about it.
But
right.
You have to admit it happened more than
Exactly.
anything.
Thank you.
You have to admit it happened. You cannot say when anybody, if anybody ever comes, well, what is Juneteenth? I don't care what color you are. You have to say. Which I mean, if you was some other race, what would you say? If somebody asked you, well, what is Juneteenth? I'm from Europe. Mm-hmm. I may not know everything over here, and I come over here and it's Juneteenth. Mm-hmm. And I say, what is Juneteenth?
Right.
How would you answer that question and not having to acknowledge what happened?
Exactly.
It's kind of like Thanksgiving. It took a while, but long enough into it, this new generation started digging into the whole idea and go, wait a minute, that was a slaughter.
Yes.
It was.
Exactly.
It was.
That whole story begins to be brought out.
Yes.
Just
you
like
start breaking it down.
Yeah, you start breaking, and you find out Christopher Columbus was alive.
Thank you.
So history can work in both ways.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
See, damn that internet.
But
see, the other thing is, okay, you got people talking about some of these other bills that haven't passed. That's why they're upset, is because you made Juneteenth a federal holiday, but you still haven't passed any of these other bills that we have on the books. And they're like, okay, so when you did that, so when are you going to address these issues? Because we still have the Emmett Till anti-lynching bill is out there. You have the People's Act bill that's out there.
Why don't you explain some of the bills?
Oh, give me. I just want to run them down and let you know what they are.
And she says.
And let me, I'll reiterate. Like that word, reiterate.
Yes, ma'am.
Also, you got the George Floyd Justice bill in policing. Those are out there. Now, the Emmett Till anti-lynching bill, that's pretty much self-explanatory. Stop lynching black people and making it a federal hate crime if you do so.
In modern day time.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
It's still going on. It's just different ways.
Okay. And then you have the People's Act bill. That's the one that's going to expand the voting rights and change how campaign laws are financed, how campaign finance change the campaign finance laws. There you go. Y'all know, first day with the new
Stop
laws.
leaving it to the top 1 or 2%.
Yeah. So basically, that's what it's doing, and how you can donate money to these different campaigns and the policies, and they're gonna put basically they were saying something about the limits, partisan limits and gerrymandering. That's the main thing.
Yes.
Oh my God, they need to get rid of that, and it's gonna create new ethics rules for federal office holders. So yes. That's why.
People got money.
Yeah, but see, that's why it's taking them so long to pass that particular bill. Mm-hmm. Because if they pass that bill, it's going to be a lot of people who are currently in office that are going to be affected by that bill.
Right.
So that's why they're trying to hold on to it as much as they can, and that's why you have Mr. No Lips. What's his name? Turkey Neck. Y'all know who I'm talking about. What's his name? Him.
Senator.
Him.
Who? He's a senator. I forget his name.
Yeah, him.
Oh, you said I know you're talking about.
Mitch McDonald.
Mitch McDonald.
Yeah, McDonald. I said anywho, because he's trying to say now, here's where the hypocrisy comes in, because now he's saying that the Democrats are using their position to take over and take power to pass all of these bills and these laws.
What they was doing?
Duh.
2 years ago, a year ago?
Well, the best bill then would be to pass is one that gives them a term limit that terminates.
Exactly.
Because we have these guys sitting in office longer than
that man. 212 years old. He need to go.
212. They've been there forever, and they have that old ingrained theories that they're going to keep pushing forward.
And they need to get fresh young blood in the Congress. Yes.
So you want to do it like the president?
Yes, president.
The only one.
The only one.
2 terms, and you got to go.
In and out, and you can't come back.
And that'll cut down on a lot of the corruption.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of the other stuff that they have going on, a lot of that will be cut out. So, and then also you got,
I say, ooh.
Mm-hmm. And then you got the George Floyd bill, the Justice and Policing Act, 2021 bill, and that's basically,
That's a lot that's going on in that bill.
So,
really?
Yeah, it's a lot going on in it. but I think with like we were saying, the passing of the Juneteenth, making that a federal holiday, that opens the door for the rest of this to
for
come
more
in.
conversations to happen.
So it's like, okay, we got the crack in the door. Now let's get that foot
Kick it
in.
wide open, right?
Yes, and we gonna knock that sucker straight on out.
And people need to understand Juneteenth did not happen overnight. I'm reiterating what Lynn said already. It did not happen overnight. Like these bills are new bills that's being introduced. Juneteenth,
This was 40 years in the making. Juneteenth was 40 years. A lady by the name of Opal Lee, they call her the grandmother of the movement to make Juneteenth a federal holiday. This woman is 94 years old.
And she's been working on it that long.
Yes, and not only that, let me tell you about this lady. When I grow up, when I grow up, I gotta be like her. I'm telling you, this woman at the age of 89 in 2016, she walked from her house in Fort Worth, Texas, all the way to the nation's capital.
No.
Yeah,
but you heard little to nothing about it on the news. You heard little to nothing about it.
That's a heck of a protest.
Yes. This woman, 89 years
trying to walk
old.
around my neighborhood.
Exactly.
She walked to Washington, D.C.?
From Texas.
Wow. That's
Texas.
a couple of days to leave Texas.
Man, it takes you a car. Okay, I've done it.
Right.
So I know. So 89 years old. This is how important this was to her.
Wow.
So when I hear people being upset about Juneteenth,
look at the work that went into
it
and what you're diminishing.
And then to commemorate Juneteenth every year, she walks 2 miles.
Oh, wow.
She walks 2 miles in Texas to commemorate it every year. I get what you saying because I keep losing my words. But in tribute to Juneteenth for those 2 years. That it took for them to let the slave know in Texas that they were free.
Oh.
Yeah, so every year she walks.
She walked 2 miles.
She walked that 2 miles. Yes. So, look.
Wow.
I don't even want 2 steps to the bathroom. I'm just.
I'm gonna have to get my walking up.
Running circles around. Man, look. And she was actually at the signing.
Yes,
and
he gave her the pen.
Yeah, he gave her the pen that he signed.
Yeah.
He signed it. Yeah, she was there. She was right there with all the spunk. So so I'm just looking at it and thinking, why should we be upset? Just look at this as a stepping stone into the right direction to make other things come to fruition. It took hell and high water to get ML King made into a holiday. Shoot, Stevie had to write a song about it. Here you go. So and then Arizona was the last state to make his birthday a holiday.
A holiday.
Yeah.
So you recognize it.
Well, Georgia was one of 4 states that didn't have what is the law?
The hate crime?
Hate crime law. 4 states, and Georgia was one of them. They just started making. But here's the thing: when Kemp, he did something right. When he did right, they also said that look, you got to keep track of the hate crimes that happens in the state. Don't just write these little cover-based laws, but you got to keep track. You got to keep data on how many of these hate crimes are actually happening in the state.
That's the part I was going to get at. See, Georgia didn't have to have the hate crime statute. If you see it happen and you think it is, don't call your local police. Call the FBI, and they have to pick. And they will pick it up. They will.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh,
so
see, that's
a lot of people were worried about the state getting involved and things. Don't do that. Call the FBI and make the complaint. They'll send somebody out to take a look and see how credible your issue is. But guess what? Local police don't like. They don't like the federal government and their business.
Yeah.
Disrupt them. Disrupt them.
Let me take a sip off that. The new word for the day: disrupt.
We're about to disrupt some things.
Ooh, everybody had to take a sip off that one.
But that's you learn something new every day.
Yeah. Because see, that's something I never knew.
Yeah, it's a federal statute. Call the federal government. They're the ones enforcing it.
Oh, take notes, take notes, federal rub, call the feds.
Cause 911 is in notes.
Okay,
Call the feds.
call the feds. All right, but yeah,
And that's not to diminish
yeah.
any police officers, because not all police officers fit that mold of being, you know.
Please don't stop me because I don't drive.
However, you know, you do have some, and I'm talking to those.
I agree with that, but then I still have this other part of me.
Go ahead.
Okay.
If you're not vocal against your other officers, you are the problem.
Yes.
Exactly.
Well, that is true.
Wow.
Very quickly, if you're not the one
Lord, let me
telling
get
your
my
guy when
fan
you're
because
doing
I'm in
something
church.
wrong,
Lord,
you
have mercy.
are part of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And you're worse than that person. You're covering up and saving this guy to stay in there and build a culture that's going to spread.
Yeah, that's that thin blue line
That's
stuff.
exactly.
That's that thin blue line stuff coming in there. So,
He
But-
said it. That's second motion.
so Big C's, let me ask you. So, with this new bill being passed, or should I say, with this holiday being passed on Thursday,
Mhm.
what do you think some of the steps, or what do you think the next steps should be for us as a community, as a culture? What do you think the next step should be for us to move forward?
This is a momentum builder. This is letting you know that you have the power and the momentum, the strength, and the people in office to get things moving forward, or to even get the conversation moving forward. So now you have a government, sort of say, that is more sympathetic or open ear to you.
Mm-hmm.
Use that open ear for everything it's worth.
Mm-hmm.
You may not get everything you have. You shoot for the moon and get the stars.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the time you'll take to not sit on your laurels and move forward. This is a win.
Mm-hmm.
Let's make another win. Let's get another one. It's going to be small steps moving up into bigger things, because this is opening up the door to a lot, especially this conversation we're having. It's a big deal, and all the people that's going to hear it, echo it, and be and researching it to see what and how we're thinking and feeling out there.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, you guys watching, this is your place and this is your forum. State how you feel, what do you think in those comment sections.
Mm-hmm.
They get read. They get read by more people than just the people sitting on this panel. And you'll be surprised who sees it and who's going to be wanting to comment.
Exactly. Or maybe even you
might spark a conversation.
Exactly. And see, that's the purpose of this, is to
This
spark
forum, right.
Yes, is to spark conversations amongst yourselves. And the other issue that I have is that with us as a culture, we need to come together. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And we really, really, really need to come together as a village and start looking out for one another once again, like we used to. Because all of this stuff that we got going, y'all, we can't get anything done if we keep bickering and fighting amongst ourselves.
If we remain crabs in the bucket, I don't know why I keep saying crabs in the bucket, but if you think
It's
of
the
the
truth.
mentality of crabs, if a crab try to get out, another crab is going to grab that crab to pull him back down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and that's just the nature of crabs. And it's sad to say that we don't, as a culture, really come together, because if we pull one way, I guarantee it's going to be just as many pulling the other way.
Mm-hmm.
But if you pull all those resources and all that energy, you are bickering against each other just because, let's say, if you had an agenda, C's had an agenda, and I had an agenda, let's go for one agenda, get that one down, move to the next one, get that one down, move to the next one. Instead of saying mine is more important than yours, yours is more important than hers, so I'm going to pull mine, you pull yours, and because what you're doing now, you're splitting everybody.
Right.
Because the people who are all going for one pot is now having to choose, I'm going for that pot, I'm going to go for that pot. So now we're divided.
We're fractured. Yep.
So when everybody else is pulling together, other cultures are pulling together, we're now divided three ways.
Mm-hmm.
Do research on some of these
Good.
bills and some of the history that we're talking about. Really read and do your own research. It's not something that we're just talking about. We're telling you about it. So hey, we're only doing surface. This is only surface.
Yeah, this is the tip of the iceberg.
Exactly. If you start doing your research and digging into things, like the 40 acres in the middle.
Mhm.
That was from South Carolina all the way to Florida. That included the Sea Islands of Georgia.
Exactly.
Right.
And guess what? That was signed by Lincoln. Johnson turned around and partnered with 2 people from the South. And
Yep.
so I mean, you really gotta.
Okay, child, we can't read that over there. What is
I was
that?
gonna say, since y'all telling them about the federal hate crime, you should give them the number.
Okay.
To the FBI?
Yes.
Oh,
Can we do that?
I'm sure you can. It's a public number.
Okay.
So you can Google that number and anybody have a phone out and Google
Yeah,
it.
okay. What is it?
It is
It is
770
770
The
216
calling.
216.
Okay. And
3000.
3,000. All right, 770-216. $3,000. $3,000. Just think of it in dollars. $3,000. Just $3,000.
And of course, every state has a local office attached to it.
Mm-hmm. Ours is we're in Savannah. Ours is down there off of Broad Street. Close to Broad Street. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I had a job interview there. I didn't get the job though.
You talking the one right on? Was it Liberty? Oglethorpe.
It's at the end of the street. I know that. I went in there to I think they didn't call me back after the lie detector test. So,
Wow.
I don't know why.
So is it that you don't lie well, or you lie too much?
I don't know. I thought I was telling the truth. Because they told me if you put a tack in your shoe, put the tack in there, it's non-detectable. But I guess it didn't quite work for me.
You didn't have the right tack. You should have used plastic.
Oh, I guess it didn't. Oh, see. But I'm just saying it didn't quite work for me. But as she said, you can call the FBI for any type of hate crime. Not to say or say that we have anything against the local popo, but
That's their job.
If you want something done,
they're the best at it.
call the alphabet.
Call the alphabet.
Yes, call the alphabet, and we can work that out. So, but I just want to say, and I know we're getting off subject, but we're gonna get back. But I just want to say I really appreciate you stepping in.
Oh, I appreciate y'all having me. Thank you, man.
Because, and I think you've been very informative.
Yeah.
Because he's just,
That's
big C's. So, and I appreciate your input and your opinion on all of this. And when I called you, I knew by you being a history buff that in the subject that we were covering today, that, that you would do it.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Have you had any experience with racism as a black man? Or what type of racism?
How much?
Oh, wow. And I have, and it came by hands of police, to say the least. And just in the way and my biggest mistake was knowing the law. And that got me in trouble even more.
What? How? You won't have to explain that. Explain that.
Like one situation, I had a police officer stop me. Me and the wife got a new house, everything, and I got pulled over for stopping at a stop sign on the highway. And I said, "Oh, okay."
A stop sign on the highway?
Yes, on the highway. I'm in a housing complex, and I'm going, I don't think they do that there. And he's like, "Well, you didn't stop at the stop sign on the highway, sir." And he's steadily going off at me. And at that time, my contempt for the cop grew, and I just started getting mad. And like, do you know highway, interstate, and all these other street things have a reason why they have those titles? There's tax reasons behind them. The interstate is taxed by the federal government. Highways are taxed by, this is taxed by a state. And I went down the line, and I'm going, now, you're wrong. I get to court. I'm sitting in court, sat in front of the judge, and told him my same spiel, and he said, yeah, you're right, but there's still a problem of credibility. I'm like, really? Wow. Is it my credibility?
Say what?
So even though I'm right, it still was a problem.
Your credibility. So if the white man
it's more
was standing up there next to you saying this, it wouldn't have been a problem.
Whole different story. He would have walked on that. I've even had a weapon pulled on me by a police officer in Baltimore.
What?
Cop ran up, grabbed me, pulled his gun.
Why?
Bunch of black officers standing around him going, "No! He was just in a motorcycle accident."
Wow.
Why did he point the gun at you?
He saw my bike on the ground. I was at an event, and I have concealed weapon permits, even had a federal permit. And when the bike went down, the weapons spilled out onto the highway.
Mm-hmm.
The officers that was there, I showed them all my paperwork, and they're like, "You're fine."
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "Do you guys feel safe with me retrieving my weapons?"
Mm-hmm.
They're like, "Yes, get them off the street."
Mm-hmm.
I started picking them up, and this cop ran up.
A hothead.
He literally came off the highway, stopped. He was a trooper, and he's like, "I have jurisdiction here."
Wow.
Pulled his weapon. The other cop's like, "Why would you pull your weapon?" They're screaming, "No, stop!"
Now cops are on the scene, seeing you pick up
See,
weapons, but he gets out.
and they literally have their credentials out. They have their badges out. Black cops.
Mm.
No officers.
But one.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and that didn't turn out well for him when he got to court.
Oh wow. Oh, I got to hear this. What happened?
Oh well, I told him. I sat there, and he rode up the motorcycles and said, "This blue bike is yours." I'm like, "Okay," and the orange bike is the other guy's. I'm like, "Very good." It's the other way around. So I said nothing to him.
So you automatically thought the blue bike looks worse than the orange bike.
Well,
You
that's the one.
automatically
No, the
see
blue
it.
bike was the one that hit me.
Mm.
I'm like, "Okay, fine." And he goes, "You're going to jail." And I was like, "No, I'm not." I'm like, "This could be a legal arrest. You understand how arrests work. But I'm leaving for medical treatment. My knee just popped out of place." "Oh, no, you're going with us." And the guys from the ambulance like, "No, he's not. He's going with us."
Wow.
Took me into the emergency. He charged me 6 years per weapon. I took it to a place out there to get my weapons repaired. 6 years per.
Who?
The
So
cop.
the cop charged me with 6 years per. Waiting to get back to court. I quietly sat in court, and he's like, "Your Honor, this guy started a caused an accident. He's carrying weapons in the state of Maryland. He's not supposed to have them in the state of Maryland." I'm sitting there quietly waiting till he's done. He's like, the judge's like, "What do you have to say?" I'm like, "Your Honor, but for the accident, I was legal." He's like, "How?" I'm like, "The little thing in my bag, can we all agree those are locked boxes because they have a key to go through?" Judge's like, "Yes." "Well, the bike fell, but this officer doesn't believe that those are considered locked boxes." He's like, "They are." I'm like, "Okay." But then, can we ask the officer to please read my license plate? Now, mind you, all my bikes have Caesar on it.
Oh Lord.
He starts reading all J, F, G. And I'm like, "I'd like to submit my registration, please." And I submit my registration. I'm like, "My bike says Caesar, and the bike's orange, and it has a Marine Corps emblem on it."
Did the man pass out?
Yeah, oh, God. You watch the face just turn red. And I'm looking at the judge, and the judge is just looking at him and said, "Mr. Officer, sit down. Officer Mike Chambers."
What?
Yeah.
See, now that's when you need to be a fly on the wall.
I have a question. So the state trooper who pulled up, why was he the one that was in charge of getting your citation if it was already 4 cops on the scene?
Because right there off the ramp, you're still on the highway.
Okay.
So that's his jurisdiction.
Got you.
But be careful with troopers, they have a lot of jurisdiction.
Yeah. State troopers.
State troopers.
They're pretty much the whole state. Yeah.
Even though his colleagues are standing there, you think you might want to defer to them and say, "What did you see?
What happened? Y'all
Why
got
is
this
this
right."
happening?"
Yeah.
Right.
He was trying to make a name for himself.
Yeah.
That's
Very much so.
He made one.
Oh,
Jackass.
he made a great name for himself. I don't know if he still has a job,
Yeah.
but he made a name.
Yeah.
You probably got there harassing someone else because of what you did.
Mm-hmm.
It's all your fault now because the next person really got it because of you.
Well, really, at that time, Maryland was going through its trials with police. And it was starting that uphill trajectory where police and making contact with the African American community was not looking good. And he didn't help that Not one
at all. Dang. Sure would have liked to have been a fly on the wall in that
I was
judge's
loving that
chambers.
courtroom. Because I'm sitting there the whole time. If you know you're in the right, be quiet.
Exactly.
When that cop was talking and he started writing down the wrong bike, shut up.
But you know what? That is a good lesson to teach our people.
Yes, be quiet.
My brother's
right.
quiet.
Yep.
Stop running, because some people, you get in more trouble because
talking.
you keep running your mouth. When you know you're in the right, just like you said, just hush. Wait till you get to court and make them look like a jackass
Exactly.
like you did.
And just slowly walk them into their wall.
Now, what my brother feels like that.
Mm-hmm.
My older brother, younger brother. Like he's not my oldest brother, but he's the brother next to me, so he's a younger brother. And that's when he would rather not get into the police and live to fight than get into the police and perhaps not make it to fight. So, that's what he said. But here's what I think also happens. I think people also gets frustrated because if you are targeted, it is, and everybody's not gonna be in that I'm gonna be quiet mode. Everybody is not that I'm gonna be quiet, and especially if you really done nothing wrong, and a lot of them will agitate you enough for you to respond. So it's not always, and I agree, if you have that capacity to like hold yourself, do it by all means. But realistically, sometimes, especially if you've been targeted more than once. If you're walking down the street and the police say, give me your ID or whatever, why? And they really don't have a legit reason. Oh, wait a minute. Because.
Let me tell you, I had the same thing. My son, a cop got mad at me. Where we stay at in the condo, there's a bike path. And the cops will ride through on the bike path. My son, built like that. Big boy.
Big meech.
Little kid. He's a baby.
Big boy was still
He's down there playing with his trains. The cops ride by. Hey, kid. My son doesn't answer. Hey. And they're still trying to get his attention. And I'm like, Smurf, come here. They're like, what? I'm like, he has nothing to say to you. Like, we're just saying hello. It's like, no, see, you don't understand that conversation. Because from what I'm seeing, you're escalating because he has nothing to do with you and not paying attention to you, nor does he care what he has to say. He wants to play.
They're going to force him to speak to him.
Right. Now I can see where you're at. Because he didn't see where I was sitting. I'm sitting back at a table under the tree. And I'm like, no, Smart, come towards me. So if you have something to say, now you got to deal with me. And that isn't as nice. I'm like, so he's like, so you're teaching your kid to not like police? I'm like, no, I'm afraid for my kid.
And they look at you and you
like
scared.
I was like, like I'm crazy. I'm like, no, he's a young black man, and his size and heft, because you're seeing him from the back, and even from the front, you're still not gonna get as a child. Look at all the other examples we have out there. No, I have one job in the world: protect the babies.
Exactly.
By any
Means necessary. That's right.
And it's sad that we have to have that.
And and I was watching, I don't know, it was on, I think it was on TNT or one of them, and I really don't think white people grasp the concept of you as a black person.
Right.
Having to sit down and have a conversation with your child about what could happen.
How painful that conversation is.
But there's a lot of companies out there that don't get it. But there's one that does. Procter & Gamble. Really? Have you seen those commercials that Procter & Gamble have put out?
I haven't seen too many.
They put out the
commercial.
Huh?
Maybe I don't know. It's their commercial.
Yeah, it's called the Conversation.
Oh,
and it's like you got several different families,
right?
Sitting
having the conversation,
having that conversation, sitting their child down to have that conversation with their child, and I was like, well, I'll be damned.
Right.
I'm gonna Google it.
Yes, I mean, because I was.
But
like,
think
wow.
what it would feel like to be in that seat that you don't have to sit there and tell your child.
Exactly.
But you cannot grasp the depth of that because you're not in that situation. You're not wearing this this crime.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I'm gonna tell you what happened to my daughter once. So the streets of Savannah is not that great.
Oh.
And so there are potholes that were on this particular street. So instead of her rolling on the potholes or through the, she was going around. So the guy pulled her over because he said that she was swerving. Granted, you could see, I see it.
Okay.
So you pull her over, roll the window down. And she's a girl. And I tell her, hey, just give them what they asked for the registration. Everything's good, so just give it to him. She gave it to him. So I guess before he stopped her, because tint was on the windows, he must have called backup. And so when he went to the car, she was, asking him what did she do wrong, and he told her, well, you were swerving, and she said, well, I didn't swerve, I never went out my lane. Yeah, but you was going from side to side. She said, well, I was going around the potholes. So I guess at this time, another officer pulled up. And so the guy took her information back, and the other cop comes to the door and asked her, was she all right? And I know all of this because I asked her in detail about what happened. I tell her now, anytime the police call me, even if my voicemail pick up, just let it play. So I will hear everything. So long story short, the white cop, the black cop asked her, was she okay? And she said, yeah, he, was saying, he knew a little bit, so he was talking to her. And she said, well, I was going around the potholes or whatever. And so when the other cop came back, who was Caucasian, he told her, well, if your car tires can't handle the potholes, maybe you don't need to drive it.
Wow.
Oh, Lord. Oh, wow. See, right there.
Yes.
I got to take some earrings off. It's time to take some earrings off.
Now,
I don't care.
Now, at this point, the black officer, he stood there and he told the guy, I don't know if they got another call, I'll finish this, you go ahead and take your call. The white officer left. He asked her, was she okay? She said, yeah. He asked her, how far did she have to go home? She said, I was in my neighborhood. And he said, okay, and he let her go. But when she got home, she was firecracker hot.
I know she was. I would have been.
And I asked, I said, well, did they give you a ticket? She said, no, the black officer let me go. The white officer left. And I'm guessing he must want another call. But long story short, the white officer must have left. They must have had a conversation because she said he stepped to the back. He came back and the white officer left. I guess, I don't know if he told her she wanted another call, but I said, well, did you get a badge number? She said, no, because that's nothing that she thought about. She was young.
Yeah.
But to tell her that, I was hyped. But I didn't have nothing. I didn't have a badge number. I didn't have anything that I could go on. But he told me, if your car can't handle the potholes, you don't need
I'd probably be on probation right about now.
I don't know if this might be a little off from that, but one of my big things is I can't wear a police officer's uniform. Right? Don't wear mine. And my uniform is a military uniform. And I see in a lot of police departments, they're issuing them military uniforms. My uniform is to fight the enemy. You have no enemy in the police department of the United States. Take my uniform off of them, because now these cops feel like they're going to go out there and fight the enemy.
You know the one with the boots?
The whole from boots to
the
battle tactic uniforms. Those are made to fight over season. That should be something should be taken away, and police officers need to be professional. Meaning, what happened to those old nice uniforms with the buttons that came down that looked really good? The cops looked like they were real customer service agents.
Yes,
so that's what a police officer is. You are a customer service agent serving the community.
Protect and serve.
And only on the extreme side, when something happens, you step in and intervene, or if they should call you for a crime, not you going out looking to solicit something.
That brings me to
escalate.
I don't know if you all saw this, but it was a video on Facebook where you see where they would plant the trucks in the black neighborhoods full of Nike sneakers and stuff.
Oh,
and the dude followed the truck. He saw it and he went live on Facebook and told them, he was like, y'all, they out here trying to trap. He was like, they out here trying to trap us. And he was like, dude, I saw you. He said, I saw y'all parked over here. Y'all sitting over here waiting to see if somebody gonna come over here.
You're gonna go create a crime.
Exactly. You creating a crime.
But
you're not gonna go. You're not going in another.
A truck full of shoes, and I have none to wear. I might Pick me up a shoe
No,
too.
let's be real. You could be a truck full of shoes, and you have shoes to wear. If
Yeah.
it's sitting there open and you put it,
I guarantee you put the
That's-
same truck in the right
Can't.
neighborhood, the same thing will happen.
Exactly.
So you are now just trying to set people up
Exactly.
for that prison industrial complex.
and if you, they didn't like, for instance, they can have pranks where it would be a person sitting on the bench, and it was more Caucasian than it was, black doing the prank, and they left the purse on the bench. Very few, I would say maybe 1 or 2, got up to chase the person, get the purse back. Everybody else scooped that purse up, walked off, and then when they got around the corner, they opened and it blew up. With black
right.
It was a prank, but that goes to show you, like, we not the only people that would take stuff that don't belong to them. Everybody would do it. So, anyway, and this has to do with
Target our
Juneteenth because we're
communities.
talking about all kinds of stuff
Yes,
from then to now.
Exactly. So, but you know what? This has been very enlightening. I don't know about for you, but for me, getting all of this rich knowledge from my 2 compadres here, this has been one of the best conversations we had thus far.
What I would like you to do is call out some of the bills and ask some because you haven't written down, like I have some in my head, but I don't have it written down.
Okay.
So people could actually go and research and look up this information.
Okay, well, I have 3 that they have right now that they're trying to get passed.
Okay.
3 of the main important ones, and that is the Emmett Till anti-lynching bill. That's HR 55. All right, you have the People's Act bill. That's HR 1. That's the one I know a lot of people have heard of that because they're constantly talking about that one right now. And then they also have the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act of 2021, and that's a bill, and it's HR. Hold on, wait a minute. HR 1280. You know, I did. You see, I did that.
Right.
Yeah, because couldn't quite read my own writing right there. But anyway, those are the acts that are currently out there that we are pushing, trying to get passed right now. So we want to thank you for taking the time to join us for this episode of Expressed Opinion. Big Cease, I want to thank you for sitting in for that guy Trey Booski. So and hopefully he'll be back next week. And if you like what you heard, please feel free to leave your comments below. We would love to hear from you on this topic. So that's going to do it for us. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. I am your girl, Lynn Roberts.
I'm that girl, DC.
And Big C.
No, Big Sis. All right.
Larry Hoover.
And remember, everyone is entitled to their opinion. Never be afraid to express yours.